Hey buff dudes and girls, the suggestions are in and you want to see 3 easy tips for building bigger, better, buffer quads. So get ready because we're about to get started. And I know, usually leg development is a little hard to do, especially for a lot of dudes out there. But believe me, it pays off in the long run and you're going to have a complete buff dude physique. So we're going to move on to tip number 1. Isolation. So what you want to think is legs. Okay, so to do legs, to work legs, you're gonna be working a big compound movement like squats. But unfortunately, that's gonna work the entire leg. Quads, hamstrings, glutes, calves, and you wanna isolate those quads, particularly develop those quadzillas. So what you gotta do is pick an isolation movement, and in this case, you'd wanna do leg extensions, because that's the main movement for what the quads do. Unfortunately, we don't have a leg extension machine here, so we're gonna have to do an alternate exercise, which is gonna be the sissy squat. So what you wanna do with that is basically a body weight leg extension, because you're just bending at the knees, you're actually coming up on the toes as well, and you're gonna leave the trunk, the upper part of the body, straight and flat, and you're just gonna lean back as you bend in the knees, and you're gonna get a nice stretch in the quads. You're gonna use something to support you, and you're gonna extend straight up, come up on the heels, and get a nice squeeze and lockout in the knees, and really activate and contract those quad muscles, specifically the teardrops right here. So you're gonna lean back, stretch, come up, squeeze. It's gonna look just like so. What you want to do is sometimes this particular exercise puts a little bit more pressure on the knee joint than, let's say, a leg extension machine does. So if you have any worries about the knee joint itself or any pain in there, what you want to do is find a leg extension machine and stick with that. Extra tip, dudes, what you want to do if you want to focus on a certain area of the quads is you're actually going to move your toes outward as you extend the legs, and you're going to work a little bit more of vastus medialis, or you pull your toes inward as you extend the legs, and you're going to work a little bit more of the vastus lateralis muscles. And if your toes are straight, you're going to basically work the overall section and also the rectus femoris as well. So that's going to be a good tip, is the variable angles of the toes, much like you do in calves or arms. So that kind of equates to different muscle groups as well, but specifically if you really want to focus on an area of the teardrops, you're going to be changing the angles of the toes. So remember that, get a nice burn on the inside of those quads or the outside. Tip number 2, choose your exercises wisely. So instead of doing a full range of motion squat, which is going to work more the entire leg, what you want to do is specifically choose exercises that are going to help isolate the quads even more, which let's say would be front squats. Getting all the way down, it's gonna be front loaded, it's gonna put more pressure on those quads. And also, let's say hack squats. Hack squats are gonna work a little bit more the quad base because you put more pressure through the balls of the feet, get more squeeze in the quads, or even let's say lunges. So what you wanna do is always build the program specific to your goal. You wanna build quads, use exercises that help focus on the quads. Tip number 3 is going to be priority training principle. Your priority at this point is to build the quads and develop them more. So what you want to do is in the first part of the program, contain exercises that hit those quads. Let's say you start with extensions first, really pre-exhaust those quads before hitting squats, because you don't want to neglect a lift like squats. Yes, it develops the entire leg, but it is still helping develop the mass and strength of the quad as well. But you want to also have that nice detailed look in the quad, so you're going to hit those extensions first, do a little pre-exhaustion, make sure they get the full work and focus, and then move on to the bigger compound movements after that. All right, dudes and girls, that wraps up the 3 easy tips for building bigger, better, buffer quads. Consistency, patience, hard work, along with these 3 easy tips is going to build those quadzillas for you. Remember, no buff dude lets another buff dude skip leg day. So remember to hit those legs, build those quads, and stay buff, dudes and girls.